Good morning, genealogy friends. Happy Friday. Today we are going to try to solve the mystery of the people in those convex portrait. The two that were actually out of the framed that were originally in the bubble portraits. I shared them on Wednesday. We're going to look at clues in the photos themselves and see if we can get an identification for these people. I have a little bit of business. Let me flip this around. Good morning. So scholar, let me organize my thoughts. Scholarship applications for the class that starts on Monday ended on Thursday evening. There was a little bit of a mad rush on Thursday. We ended up with more than 100 scholarship applications, which was great. And my friends were working hard to stay on top of them, but there was a little bit of a mad rush. So it's probably in my inbox right now, but I thought that I was going to know who the winner was last night, and they asked me if they could let me know in the morning. So I haven't emailed that person yet. So I'll probably take a look after this. I bet you there's a winner at this point, and then I will email that person. I let them just sort of choose on their own as far as what criteria they wanted to go with. I don't even know what the process was, but I trust them, and I'm excited to give somebody the scholarship. So it just hasn't happened yet. And I don't know that I was going to announce it anyways, because I told you I wasn't sure that everybody was going to want to be announced as a scholarship winner. So, all right, let's talk about these photos. So good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Flip. Okay, so I have these two portraits. Now, if you were here on Wednesday, you saw that I actually had 3 portraits, and I had one that was still in the frame with the convex glass. Now, when I talk about convex glass, I'm talking about this. This is my great-great-grandmother. She's in this portrait with this curved glass on it, and these are portraits that are basically light photographs that were then had details brought out by charcoal. That's why they have kind of this dreamy painted look. And they're also very hard to photograph, as you can see, because they're full of reflections. So these ones are out of the frame. I purchased these, and all that I had was this note on the back of this one that says Oregon Pioneer Samuel Matheny, and the number 1143, and then this one being numbered 1144 with no other information. So this is a consecutively numbered portrait, but other than that, I have no info. And I wanted to see if I could identify these people. So I put my search into pages because I thought that might be more helpful. Some of this, I'm not sure you'd want to document all of this, but I thought we'd go step by step. So I used the photo study page to see what I could pull out. You can see I actually carried them outside and photographed them on my pavement because I had nice diffuse lighting, and I wanted to get both of them in the same photo. And then I included these little photos showing the notation and the consecutive numbering. I said for the subject, Oregon Pioneer Samuel Matheny plus a female portrait numbered consecutively, type of photograph, convex bubble portrait enhanced with charcoal. And then the owner, it was purchased from the Goodwill Industries of Lane and South Coast, which are the Goodwills in Oregon. That's all the information I had. I don't have a date of the photo. I don't have a photographer. I don't have costume. So even though I was able to organize this way on the photo study page, and it did make me think, it challenged me to think, okay, what do I know about this photo? What's everything I know? There wasn't a whole lot to go off of here. So at this point, I actually switched over to using just the blank. Hey, can you come here? Thanks. The blank pages. I've told you guys before, I use the blank page more than anything else. And here, I blew this up a little bit. I thought we'll just focus on this one that says Oregon Pioneer Samuel Matheny, because that's a pretty big clue. And I wanted to write down, okay, what do I know? So Oregon became the 33rd state in 1859. This photo claims to be of Samuel Matheny, and convex portraits were popular from 1880 to 1920. It's not a ton, but that's not bad. So from there, I actually just started with a Google search. I just Googled Samuel Matheny, Oregon. I didn't add in the word pioneer or anything like that because I was just looking for whatever I could find. I found a couple of things. So these come from Google searches. This is a obituary from the Oregonian. It was listed on Google, so unfortunately it's in this long, thin format. And it talks about a Samuel Matheny who died in 1910. He's a Yamhill County pioneer. And then I did a separate, or this was a different search result, but when I pulled this up, I realized that this is the same person. And it's talking about, that he died in Oregon and he was alive at the right time and things like that. I then switched over to Family Search, where again, I don't know that I would always save these screenshots, but I did, I just searched Samuel Matheny, place of residence, Oregon, no dates, no nothing. And of the results that came up, there was actually only one that matched the right time period. And what I mean by that is this Samuel Matheny was born from 1833 to 1910. Now, if I know that these convex bubble portraits are popular from 1880 to 1920, that's a pretty big range. But if we look at this photo, this is not a young man. So this is not somebody who was born in 1880, if that makes sense. Even if we're saying, okay, this was done in 1920 and he would have been 40, that's pushing it. This man looks older than that to me. Also, I think that this is an earlier, like in that 1880 to 1920 range, I think this is an earlier photo because of how much charcoal enhancement is on here. So that means that we're looking for somebody who would have been this age or close to this age by 1880, 1890, and who was living in Oregon. And this was the only person in Family Search who came up. His details match this. This is all the same person. So at this point, I was pretty confident. He was the only person who was the right age and who was living in Oregon in the later censuses. So I was feeling very confident about that. And so at this point, I actually transfer a lot of the information that I'm getting from these different search results onto an ancestor profile. Now, obviously, this is not my ancestor. This is a portrait that I bought from Goodwill pretty much to do this video as a little challenge to myself. So I don't have anything here for the relationship to the root person, and I don't have an index number on any of these pages because this person's not in my index. But, assuming that I knew that I had a Samuel Matheny in my family tree, at that point I could fill this in. Now, this information that's transcribed here, I'm getting that from these different search results. I want to remind you, I'm transcribing this. This is not finished. None of this information has been verified. I need to see actual records. I want to go through, I want to check spelling. His father's name is listed as Prmurt. I'm pretty sure that that's not his father's name, but I'd want to double check that. For children, the people that were listed in his obituary, a lot of them, well, all of these ones here are, with the exception of the fourth one, they're women who, have taken their husbands' names. There were actually other children listed, but I didn't list them all. And, all of this would need to be verified and backed up with records. But I do transcribe information initially from sources like this that I have a jumping off point, and then I go through and I try to back up each piece of information and I fix things and reprint out these pages as necessary. So that's how I would have done an ancestor profile. Now, I wanted to talk about this one because here we've got this consecutively numbered portrait, no name. I'm fairly confident in my assumption that this is his wife. This could be one of his daughters. He obviously had a lot of daughters, but customs, all of that, the age of the woman, it would surprise me if this was a portrait of him and then his daughter. So I would assume that this is one of his wives, but he was married twice. He's married to an Elmira Judson and an Eva McLean. So if we do, I didn't do the photo study page. I just went ahead and used another blank page. Focusing on her, what do I know about this portrait? We know that it's consecutively numbered after the portrait of Samuel Matheny. We know that he married twice to an Elmira Judson and an Eva McLean. Convex portraits are popular between 1880 and 1920. So I don't know a lot about these women. I haven't dug into them, but he marries Eva McLean in 1877, which at, just first glance suggests that Elmira Judson was deceased at that point. And, that means that he would have been married to Eva McLean during the period when these portraits were really popular. So it would suggest that this is Eva McLean Matheny. Now, am I ready to take these pictures, throw them up on Family Search, and say, boom, found these people, identified them, this is what they looked like? I'm close. I'm not completely there yet. I really do like to check and then check again and then check again, because the minute that you put a photo up on Family Search or Ancestry or MyHeritage or anything like that, you run, well, it's not even you run the risk. You're inviting people to look at that photo and to save it to their computers, to save it to their own family trees. There was the big talk about Ancestry's rights to photos and what can they do with them. What people, I think, may have missed is that Family Search actually has the same thing. Family Search, when you upload a photo to Family Search, it becomes public. Family Search doesn't actually have the private tree option that Ancestry has. And you can delete it, and Family Search will let you delete it. But one, anything that you upload to Family Search while it's still uploaded from you, Family Search has the right to do whatever with those photos. And two, if somebody else saves it to their records, Family Search is not going to chase everybody down after you've deleted yours to make sure that everybody else deletes theirs as well. So for that reason, I want to be really, really, really sure. And I think it's really tempting when you have a photo, especially, from what I've seen in my searches on Family Search, on Ancestry, when I was looking for these people, there doesn't seem to be images of either of these people listed online. It's possible that people who are researching, this couple, that they don't have any images of them. So it is really tempting to jump in there and say, okay, great, I found it. And look, it's beautiful. And I'm going to take a really good, high quality photo. And here, this is for you. Because we want our family trees to be full of beautiful portraiture. But you have to make sure that you've done the work to back this up, because you are responsible for sending out misinformation that happens because you rushed, because you desperately wanted that person to be Eva McLean Matheny because it's a beautiful picture and Eva McLean Matheny deserves to have a picture on a family tree. She does, but you don't want to accidentally put a picture up of somebody else and then realize that if you had just thought about it a little bit harder, done a little more research, you would have realized that you were wrong. For that reason, I don't know if, those of you who saw the thing on Wednesday where you saw the other portrait, the one that's still in glass, where I said, I think this might be this woman's daughter. There was a resemblance. I didn't include that because there's no information on that picture. There's no numbering. There's no nothing. I bought the three of them together, so I'm assuming they came from the same family that donated them to Goodwill. I don't know. Maybe Goodwill just stores convex bubble glass portraits and then occasionally sells them in a bundle. Maybe the person that owned it was just collecting them and then decided it was a weird thing to collect and dropped them all off at the same time. That person might have nothing to do with this family. For me to make the assumption and then start putting photos out there, just deciding that I've figured out who this person is because there's a resemblance, that's too dangerous. It's too squishy. And I don't want to be the person that misidentifies somebody because I just really wanted this beautiful portrait to be identified. And it's kind of sad because that other portrait of the couple, the one that's still framed, I did put it back in the frame. So it's in the frame. It's in good condition. It's gorgeous. It's probably never going to be identified at this point. I have nothing else to go off of. These portraits have now left Oregon and come all the way to Utah. I'm not going to ship them back to Oregon unless I was to find somebody that really wanted them. I probably won't hang on to them for much longer now that I've done this video. There's no reason for me to hang on to portraits of people who aren't in my family. So these are probably going to end up at another store or a thrift store here in Salt Lake City. I mean, this is where photos that travel around and get sold like that, they do end up getting lost to the wind. So it makes me sad that people's family history ended up at the Goodwill in the first place. I wish that everybody had the means to do the research to hang on to their family history and, keep the details together so that that information could be passed on. But it's not the way that genealogy works for a lot of families for a lot of reasons. So in the meantime, I've done what I can do. I'm pretty sure that we have just met Samuel and Eva Matheny. I am going to keep researching. I am going to share the portraits once I've concluded that I really am pretty solid on this identification. And as a genealogist, that's all I can do. Okay, I hope this was helpful. If you're in the class that starts on Monday, make sure that you're getting my emails and that you're in the Facebook group. I'm not sure why, but about half of the class is still not in the Facebook group, and that's a pretty big, I mean, the private Facebook group for the class, not the big Facebook group for all of us. So if you're in the class that starts on Monday, you're supposed to be in the private Facebook group where we're having discussions and things like that. I will be looking for the scholarship winner in my own email, and then I will email that person directly. If you're wondering, you can feel free to check in with me if you don't hear anything, but I probably won't email everybody back to tell them that they didn't get a scholarship, because that seems depressing. But if you're worried that somehow you missed the note and you might have been the winner, you can email me. That's fine. But yeah, I haven't emailed anybody yet. And I will be teaching on Monday, and that's going to be the last time that I teach, because that's going to be August 30th, and I'm taking September off. And then I'd be back in October. But I have a lot of new pages coming out on Monday to make up for the fact that I don't have any other new pages coming out for September. And I'll have the new updated checklist of all of the pages available from Family Tree Notebooks. All right. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you guys soon.